Hi everyone, and welcome to your very last video for Year 11 Biology. And so today we're going to be looking at Australian or Indigenous Australian ways of knowing. So the study design dot point says you need to understand the contribution of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's knowledge and perspectives in understanding adaptations, interdependence between species in the Australian ecosystem. So we've been looking at adaptations and interdependencies. And so now we're going to look at how Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders' ways of knowing have contributed to the care for the Australian ecosystem. Firstly, some terms that I want you to know. So the word holistic means an approach to knowledge that views all things as intimately connected. And so Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's understanding of the ecosystem and their knowledge of and care for the ecosystem is holistic. When we use the word country in reference to connection to country by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, this means that country refers to an area that is traditionally owned and looked after by an Aboriginal language group or community or by certain people within that group. This may indicate more than just a geographical area, so it has a spiritual meaning, it has feelings of deep connection and attachment. Country is considered to be a living thing that must be cared for. Healthy country means that it's managed well, and the country that is sick means it needs human intervention. There is a focus on caring for country in Aboriginal understanding, and this reciprocal relationship that if the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples care for country, country will care for them back. So let's look at Indigenous knowledge and perspectives of adaptations to fire. So Australia is obviously a very, very hot country, and there are plants or organisms that have adapted to fire, and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have an understanding and knowledge of how to use this. And so it's important to note that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have had an understanding of the Australian ecosystem to live in such a hot and arid environment for over 60,000 years. So these populations are the world's oldest living civilization. So they have a very deep connection to country and a very strong understanding of country. So because there are so many bushfires because of the heat, many plants have evolved to adapt to fire. So we have pyrophilic plants. So these are plants that require fire for germination or part of their life cycle. In order for them to grow, they have to be exposed to fire. We also have epicormic shoots, so that's growth on plants like this that are stimulated after damage by fire. So these are adaptations that actually are beneficial to the plant only when there is fire. And so knowing these adaptations allowed Indigenous peoples to use fire to their advantage. It's important to know that this wide berth of knowledge has developed through questioning, observation, investigation, and experimentation in the same way that we also approach science. So in science, we use questioning, we observe things, we investigate, we experiment. We've done all of this year. And Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples did those same things a little bit differently, but they did those things to develop this knowledge. And this is a more holistic understanding of the Australian ecosystem, which is then passed on through generations. So I want you to know a specific Indigenous practice that uses adaptations to fire, and this is cool burning. And so cool burning is used to clear dry plant material in cooler months to reduce the intensity of bushfires. So it helps preserve the habitat for organisms to live in, and it helps promote growth of plants that need fire to germinate. So it provides food for both people and animals. And so this practice of cool burning is a practice that helps care for the country, and therefore the country can care for the people. So in cool burning, this is the burning of that plant matter in those cooler months to prevent those very large bushfires in the hotter months. It is a way to control the spread of bushfires. Coal burning, as you can see in this picture, produces a fire mosaic pattern, which is very interesting. It is a very controlled process. It's done purposefully, and it is done with the intention to protect the country rather than damage it. So it helps obviously spread the control of bushfires. It creates a range of habitats for species and also promotes biodiversity, because remember, there are certain plants that require fire to germinate or to grow. And so this also allows animals a place to escape until the fire is over. So because they're done in this pattern, animals are able to escape that specific area till that fire is over, and they are also protected. So it's a very holistic approach to caring for the environment. So how has Indigenous knowledge of coal burning contributed to present-day science practices and knowledge? Well, these same techniques can be used to prevent severe damage from bushfires. As we've seen in the past years, bushfires have caused a lot of extreme damage to a lot of the land, and this is because coal burning is not practiced a lot anymore. And so if the Indigenous community's knowledge is able to be used and implemented in that they are able to conduct coal burning again, we are able to then properly care for our country and therefore prevent those very extreme damaging bushfires. This also allows us to reintroduce Indigenous practices and knowledge, and we can use Indigenous knowledge of Australian ecosystems to support and heal the land, and therefore increase biodiversity and produce habitats for plants and animals. So this is where I'm going to leave you. I hope that you've enjoyed all these videos and you've learnt a lot this year. Congratulations on making it to the end. We still have Area Study 3 to go through, but this is the end of all the content that we are going to teach you. So I hope you've enjoyed your time watching these videos, and as usual, write down your questions and I will see you in class.